Hey, Chase on the range with Enforce. Today, we're going to look at firearm safety rules, fundamentals of marksmanship, some shooting, and maintenance. Remember, if you've decided to own a firearm, then training and safety is paramount. All right, Colin, so we're going to go over basic loading procedure. So basically, like I said before, what you want to do is always maintain a good high firm grip on the gun. Go ahead and, if you will, grip the magazine like this, kind of like what you would like a can of soda or something like that. And the idea here is that God and Eugene Stoner got together and designed these ergonomics so they work real well with your hands. So basically what you're looking at is when you insert the mag into the magazine well, your thumb magically aligns with that paddle, you can drop the bolt. So you just go ahead and do that if you will. So go ahead and stick it firmly into the mag well. Yep, give it a little tap on the bottom to make sure it's in there, and you can give it a tug. As long as it doesn't come out, now you know it's locked in. Now, your bolt's not locked to the rear, so the other way you can do that is use the charging handle. Go ahead and pull the charging handle all the way back to the rear and let it go. Now, one thing you'll notice, you use your right hand. And what we do is we call that giving up fire control. Essentially, all weapons manipulation, actually firing the weapon, comes from the hand that's on the pistol grip, so you never want to give that up. So you're going to use your non-firing hand to do all manipulations that you can. Okay. Just so you know, you can go over the top like that with both, or you can grab one paddle. Depends on what works best for you. Both work just fine. So all we're going to do is we're going to start a series of what we call basic up drills. And again, this is working on trigger control, sight alignment, and basic body positioning biomechanics, making sure that you and your gun are in good working harmony. So what we're going to do is we're going to orient ourselves down to the target. I'll be firing on the center target, and you'll be firing on the right target. And I'm just going to demo it for you, and then I'll let you go ahead and go hot.
That sounds good.
Okay, Colin, so like we said, we're just going to start with our good basic shooting stance. So again, feet oriented towards the target, knees a little bent. Rifle in what we call the low ready position. So basically it's just a little bit below the target. You've got good firing control on your firearm, and you're looking down range. So on the command of up, you're just going to bring the firearm up, get your sights on target, weapon comes off safe, finger goes on trigger, and you'll fire one round. So gun fires, you confirm, I got a good hit, finger comes off the trigger, weapon goes back on safe, and then you'll lower it down. And we'll just do that several times. All right, Collins, do you understand the course of fire?
Up calls for this.
Yep.
Then taking the safety off.
Correct.
Firing one round, putting the safety back.
Bring the rifle back down. Exactly, and we're going to basically go through what you're in now, which is your comfortable standing position. Going from there, on the command of up, you'll assume that slightly feet forward, slightly knees bent, a little bit of bend at the hips, getting into what we're calling that just basic shooting stance. Fire one round, and come back down. So you'll basically go through all those steps nice and slow in your own time on the command of up.
Okay.
All right. Shooter ready?
Shooter ready.
Up! All right, got a good hit on target. Come back down. So, couple of notes there. One, we always try to shoot with both eyes open. Now I know that's less of a target shooting thing and more of a practical applications of firearms use, if you will. But what happens is when you close one eye, you're literally losing half of your vision, and that hurts what we call situational awareness, which is basically your ability to just stay generally aware of what's going on around you. Odds are, if you're ever forced to use a firearm in a defensive situation, you're going to want to be aware of as much as you can, and you're going to be very threat focused at the time. So the faster you can regain what we call the general situational awareness, it's going to be to your advantage. So when possible, definitely try to shoot with both eyes open. And again, what we talked about before with sight alignment, sight picture, that is the front sight post clear, centered vertically and horizontally in the rear sight aperture, so you'll have a slightly blurry target, slightly blurry rear sight, very clear front sight post. Yeah. Another note for you, just so you know, when you came up and you shot your round, your finger went all the way back off the trigger. And that's fine for one round at a time. However, when you're shooting multiple rounds, what it causes is your finger's doing a whole lot of traveling, right? So one, it's slower because you're covering more distance, even though it's not a lot. And two, it's going to cause you to slap the trigger or smack it very hard, which when you're really amped up, for instance, in a defensive situation perhaps, that can actually pull the firearm off target, which is going to affect your accuracy. Right. So if you'll notice here, and I'm going to go live, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this very slowly so that you can see, I come up on target, weapon's on fire, I've shot around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the trigger out only to the point where it resets. You hear that click. and no farther.
And no farther.
That's minimum travel of the trigger, and that way you're not only shooting faster, but you're also imparting less movement in the firearm. And of course, the more you practice with your gun, the more you'll be able to do that really without thinking about it, and you'll pick up your cadence of fire and your accuracy.
Understood.
All right, so let's go it again.
All right.
Shooter ready?
Shooter ready.
Up. Hold. So again, if you notice, your trigger finger came all the way off.
Yes, it did.
So just go ahead and aim it again, if you would. Fire around and hold the trigger all the way to the rear. Now slowly let it out till you hear it reset. That's it.
That's it.
So that's the movement. Now what you can do, if you go ahead and safe it, and let it hang, what you can do at home is something called dry fire. So obviously I recommend you doing this in a room with no other source of ammunition. You clear the weapon out and you make sure that you're in a very safe direction, which can be challenging if you live in like a neighborhood or an apartment, something like that. But basically what you do is you can lock the bolt to the rear. And what that does is that allows the trigger to move through its entire distance of travel freely without resetting. And you can literally just get on the sights and manipulate that trigger to the rear and out, and to the rear and out. And that'll actually put what most people refer to as muscle memory. Obviously our brain doesn't have memory, right? Our muscle cells don't have memory, excuse me. But you're myelinating the pathways. Basically you're increasing the coating on your nerve sheath in your brain in order to make build a habit, right, in what we call unconscious habit patterns. And so that's a really good way. Dry fire is a really great way to practice that trigger control. Also, it's a nice way to see how much movement you're imparting in the gun without recoil being added to it. Because the gun shouldn't be moving other than what you're moving it when you're actually manipulating the trigger. So it's just a little side note there. So all right, let's go ahead and do it again.
Yes, sir.
Ready, up. It's good. Go ahead and fire. Yep, let it out, fire again. You see how you came off again?
I did
All right,
that,
just go ahead, try to get 2 more rounds, really focusing on that trigger. Both eyes open. There you go. Take your time, get the front sight post. Easy to the rear, back, nice. All right, now stay right there for me if you would. Now notice what you got going on. You got your butt sunk in, you're rolling your shoulders over, and I don't imagine this feels super comfortable.
Not very much.
So go ahead, take your finger off the trigger, put the weapon on safe, and without taking the gun off target, go ahead and try to get in a more comfortable and sustainable position. So what'd you do? You stood up, yep. So try, if you would, take your right foot and point it towards the target. And what we're gonna do is, if you just kind of, so you got both feet pointing towards the target, a little bit more than shoulder width apart. And again, you're gonna get a more comfortable stance by leaning forward and bending that left knee than you are by trying to square off. And another thing you'll notice is as I turn my shoulder, I have less mass behind the gun, right? So when I have full body behind the gun, and then I move my stock more into my shoulder, and this is where you start adjusting your stock to make it fit you, then I'm able to get on the gun, and you notice that actually the top of the stock's a little bit above my shoulder. But I'm able to get more behind the gun this way than I am if I start turning this way. And that helps, again, when you're firing really fast to keep that muzzle control and the recoil control in sort of in check. And this is a learning process. There's a ton that goes into this.
Yeah. Is there any reason why switching arms like this would be not acceptable for
your sling?
For sling, yeah.
No, dude, if it works, well, so when it hangs, right, like this is nice.
Hangs wrong,
it hangs wrong, right? So that's why.
Okay.
Yeah. But if it's really annoying to shoot with,
right.
then yeah, shoot like that.
Okay.
So you could just shoot with it over here.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously it's more annoying for me because it's on differently.
'cause it's under
but
your arm.
whatever, right? And I'm done shooting. Come over. And no big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So so next, let's go ahead and we sort of got some notes on trigger manipulation, trigger control. So let's now really focus on your stance. All right. So if you would go ahead, aim in on target, kind of like we talked about. So what I'm gonna do is gonna have you grab your hand up here, like we talked about, right? Yep. And rolling it over. So what we actually want to do is take your take your elbow, and you're literally doing that. So you're taking your palm and turn to the side of your gun. There you go. Okay. And this is where, again, if you need to make your stock fit, you move it in and out, that's fine. So then if you would, instead of leaning back, right, you're gonna stand up and lean forward right there. There you go, and bring it up, yep. And then try to, again, now you're like, all right, now you're playing with your own personal shoulder where it needs to be. And this is where you start playing with how far in your stock comes. So the farther in your stock comes, you can do that. Now understand too, iron sights are pretty low.
Yeah.
Get a dot above that, you can get your head up more, right? So, appreciate that what I'm saying doesn't work totally great because it's irons, but you make it work. All right, so go ahead and aim in. And one of the things that's going to help you get your body less bladed, right, is bring this foot on line with your other one. Yeah. And now stagger your left foot forward by about a half a pace. There you go. Maybe even a little bit more. Yep. And now what you're going to do is you're going to leave this just like it is, right? Aiming on target. And now you're just going to lean forward right there. Right. So now, if you would, go ahead and fire, come on target, both eyes open, and just fire 2 rounds as quickly as you can for me.
Okay.
Right. Now, what do the sights look like through your eyes? How are you tracking that? Did it seem like it was on target both times?
No, not the second time.
Okay, so now go ahead and fire 2, but don't fire the second one until it's back on target. All right?
Okay.
All right. Now, how's that feeling in your body?
Better this way.
Better that way?
Yeah.
Now, do you still feel like you're a little hunched over, a little uncomfortable?
I do.
So now, so again, you can stand up more like this, right? But you're not putting mass behind the gun.
Right, right.
You start leaning away from it.
Yeah, you're gonna get-
So now this is where you sort of know, like, this is ideal. How do I get as close to this as possible while feeling like I can control the rifle?
Yeah.
Typically, what you're going to find is it's some mixture of blading or turning. I like turning my hips towards it because, again, like something happens over here, I'm not going to be like, ah, right? I'm going to be like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So don't fight that anyway. So getting your feet generally towards it. And again, this is where you'll start playing with how far the stock comes into your chest, right? So when I'm shooting, for instance, my stock is like inside my
Right.
nipple line,
Yeah.
right? It's like right there, right? Actually right under your subclavial notch, right? So, and your sling may be a little bit messing you up too. Then that's, you know, it's just a gear thing. But again, this is the learning part, right? It's
Right.
basic fundamentals of how your body worked with your gun and figuring out how it works for you. So what we'll do is go ahead and come up on target, get in the best stance you feel comfortable with, right? And I want you to fire 5 rounds in your own time as fast as you can while getting your hits. So what I want you to be thinking of when you're doing that is, where's my gun? Where's my sights? How's my body? Am I on target? Am I fighting my body? Am I muscling something over one way or over the other? That's not good, right? That'll cause fatigue, a lack of accuracy. All right, I'm on target. My body feels good. Okay, going hot. Okay, now my gun's off safe. Good. Okay, now my finger's on the trigger. Okay, I'm gonna fire. Everything, body still feels good. Still not fighting it. Okay. Oh, I'm still on target. Good. Okay, good. Still on target. Fantastic. And then when you're better at that, right, and you get a little bit more comfortable with it, then you're gonna be able to keep the gun on target longer and just pick up your rate of fire. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's it.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead, aim in. And again, this is a million things to keep in mind,
Yep.
so we're just working on it slowly. So, yeah, there you go. Standing up, getting good. Yeah, both feet towards target, good. Stagger your feet a little bit, bend that left knee. So sink in on your left knee and not your right. It's a weird thing to get used to, but if you can do it, and you start straightening the right leg as you lean in on the left. Exactly, there you go. You're on target, both eyes are open, your weapon is off safe, you're getting your finger on the trigger. You're thinking about a nice, clean, easy press to the rear on the trigger as you bring it on target. Yeah, in your own time, go ahead and fire. It's on you. Yep, so once you're on target, you get that finger on the trigger. Yep, on you, and you're gonna fire, and then bring it back on camera, and bring it back on target. Did you see what you just did?
I did, I put it on safe.
But did you see what you did? Did you see that?
Yeah.
You're doing that every time you actually shoot. You just don't feel it because the rifle's recoiling.
Okay.
That's what we call flinch, right? And I'm glad you did. We always wait to bring it up until someone does it naturally. And what that is that's your low brain being like, oh my God, there's an explosion in my hands. Ah! Right? Everyone has that. It's one of the hardest things to fight. Okay? So it's okay, but understand, literally every time you shoot the gun, now you're going, away from me, right? And that's a super hard thing to fight because you're imparting that movement right at the moment of firing. Right? So the way you get used to that, shooting guns, right? It's nice, easy breathing. You're trying to focus on the mechanics of what you're doing and not the, oh my God, I'm about to explode something in front of my face. Right? So that's a good learning point. All right, so here you go, start over.
Okay.
All right, get both your feet pointed towards the target. Yeah, so get that in a little bit. There you go. Yeah, pointing, yeah, exactly. The toes pointed more towards it, yep. Yep, bending the left leg a bit more, straightening the right a little bit more. Bring the gun up, yep. So as soon as you're on target and you feel comfortable, go ahead, put it on fire and start shooting. And just remember, clear front sight, easy press to the rear, gun comes back on target, sights come back on target, let the trigger out, press again. Gun comes back on target, easy, Easy on in your own time. Go ahead and put it on fire. There you go. Good, good. Yeah, that's right. Don't, yeah, try to keep both eyes open. Don't wink at it. There you go. That's it. Nice. Good, good. One more. All right, did you feel my fingers on your back?
I did. I
Okay,
came back.
that's because you came back,
Yeah.
exactly, yep. So what happened was, after your second shot, you started standing up a little bit, right? And you're straightening out, and I get it, because you're starting to fatigue, because this is already a very new movement to you. But that's where, because you're starting to do this, and you're fatiguing, if you lean into it, see, if you look at my lower back, right?
Yeah.
I'm not doing this, right? As I come up,
You're literally, yeah.
I'm literally doing this, right? But you can see what that does. Yeah, and it's weird to not go sideways, like try to go forward with it, you know, this or whatever, right? But it's something that I'll sort of overemphasize when I'm showing you, because really, again, most likely if you're using this, you're gonna be like, "Da, da, 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 da," right? And so it's kind of you know, boom, and there you go. Yeah, but good job, man. That's good.